Star Wars: The Force Awakens. When this movie was originally coming out, I was excited. Extremely excited. I thought any possible story that they could do would be good. I was blind to how bad it could actually turn out to be. I remember first finding out about the fact that the new faction names would be the Resistance and the First Order. When I found out this information, I thought that they were very odd names. I thought that they sounded, well, you know, a lot like Rebellion and New Order, which, you know, it was just a copy of the original Star Wars movies and nothing really new. Because I had read pretty much all the books, played all the games, and, you know, I knew the Star Wars universe like the back of my hand. You know, Disney was not going to sneak anything by me, but I had a lot of goodwill, especially since at the time a lot of the fans supported this direction that the new movie was taking. And, you know, after playing a lot of Star Wars stories, good and bad, there was no reason to expect it could be anything other than meh. You know, nothing worse than that, at least. But, it really seems like they didn't try with this. And if they did try, then it's clear that they really didn't know what they were doing, because I'm pretty sure me and anyone else directing this movie could have been, you know, could have done a better job. Now, granted, obviously there are certain limits due to, you know, what most audiences expect from a Star Wars movie. Like, you wouldn't go in making the main movie about, like, a bounty hunter or I don't know, a hut on a holiday or something, you know. You wouldn't do that. Not for a main movie. And that's understandable, you know, there's certain restrictions. But what isn't restricted is creating good characters, good villains. Just, that's fine as far as I'm aware. And, well, that's not what we got. Now, that's not to say that I hated everything. Obviously, the marketing for this movie sucked me in just as much as it did a lot of people. And the trailer appealed to me for certain reasons, which I will go into during this quick review. So, for this review, I'll be talking about the movie, and I might talk about The Last Jedi if it comes up, and other things as well, if it comes up, but I'm going to try and stick to this movie. Okay, so, the movie starts with what we know from the trailer. You know, the stormtroopers, you know, there's flickering lights, they're coming down. Fair enough, you know, that's a cool scene, you know. You can argue it doesn't really make any sense, but it's a cool visual, you know, and I'm okay with opening to a cool visual. In fact, I mean, I'm sure there's 100 better visuals that one could do, but, you know, for a simple Star Wars movie, you know, it's good. It's fine. However, yeah, there's been a lot of comparisons to like Apple products and stuff, but why do the Stormtroopers look so different? And not, it's not that they look different, why do they look like they're advanced? I mean, I'm all for new Stormtroopers, okay? I like Stormtrooper designs, I do. But why replace the iconic Stormtrooper armor with this thing? I mean, it's always bugged me how off it looks. I mean, the helmet is alright. I mean, I would prefer that they didn't change the helmet, but I can put up with the helmet. But there's certain things about the rest of the armor that just doesn't look as detailed as the original Stormtrooper armor. And that bugs me. Not that much, but it does bug me. But yeah, I'm willing to accept that. I was willing to accept that maybe it's the personal design of a new Imperial Remnant leader or something, you know, or whatever. I also found it strange that they're coming down in not Sentinel transports, like the original Empire, but they've got their own transports, which immediately pinged to me as odd due to the fact that they should immediately be, you know, resources for the Empire, or whatever you want to call them, should be scarce. Unless we give it some reason that they're not. Because why would the First Order, as they're called, have new stuff? Like, is there like some reason for that? But we'll get more into that. So let's start with their character choices. So the movie starts with some old guy. I could look up his name right now, but I don't care. He's killed off instantly. No one cares who he is. It doesn't matter. But he does have the map to Luke Skywalker and whatever. No one cares. Literally the next movie in the series doesn't care anyway, so whatever. Yeah, no reason for why he's on the planet. I don't know if he lived on the planet or if he was just hiding there. I don't know. They don't even say who the villagers are or anything, or why they're supporting the resistance, where the rest of the planet just doesn't give a fuck. Like, I don't know. But anyway, the planet's basically a copy of Tatooine, except I guess they're nicer. They're not under the huts, I guess, which, you know, you don't want the huts, that's fine. But, you know, would have been nice to have had them in the next movie, but anyway, we're getting out of ourselves. Jakku, as it's called, which is basically, it's okay. I mean, I've seen better, like, junk planets, like Rexus Prime and stuff like that, but as far as, like, a desert planet that's different, I mean, it's okay, it's a start. But anyway, it's the last battle location of the Galactic Civil War, apparently, where there's a bunch of crap everywhere, and, you know, it creates a really cool visual, you know, it's a really cool visual having a bunch of broken down Empire stuff everywhere and stuff like that, but technically I feel like the Empire should still be around, just, like, you know, in some form or another. Doesn't really make that much sense. I remember them mentioning that the Imperial Remnant still existed in some form in behind the scenes stuff. I don't know what happened to that, but I specifically do remember that being a thing. Yeah, ultimately there's no real world building in this movie at all, which is strange, it being the start of a trilogy. It it's got nothing. It's like their world building was just... The original series happened and now everything's different. That's all you need to know, which is stupid. So, yeah, the First Order's name is clearly a play on New Order, which was, during the Expanded Universe books, was often brought up as the name for the Empire. So I'm just gonna say that JJ, or someone in the writing department, clearly thought that was a funny thing, I guess. Like, oh, we'll just copy that, which is fine. Anyway, at the beginning of the movie, we're introduced to Poe, who, yeah, he's basically a copy of Wedge. Not necessarily from the movie, but from the books. He's essentially a Wedge character, you know. It's like Red Squadron, Rogue Squadron, Wraith Squadron. Look it up, you'll love it. But, well, if you like Starfighter stuff, at least. But yeah, really popular. I heard that they were originally going to kill Poe off, which is strange because he seems to be the only one of our three protagonists who actually have any real development. And a lot of potential, since the X-Wing games and books were really popular too, especially to like older audiences who were a part of that. You know, it seems like he was a logical choice to have in the movie as a character, and probably would have been a better main character than Rey, let's be honest. Our main villain for the movie, apart from Supreme Leader Snoke, who no one cares about, Kylo Ren. I didn't expect him to be the new Darth Vader, so him kind of being a bit whiny and stuff, it didn't really bother me that much. I mean, you know, how can it after seeing freaking Anakin Skywalker all these years, but his desire to be similar to Darth Vader, but being unable to actually achieve that himself, was really quite interesting. I felt like he had the most interesting character flaws in that sense. However, they never really went into more about him, which is really, you know, weird. One of the things that drew me into the movie was he looked a lot like Darth Revan, who, you know, is one of my favorite characters from the Star Wars franchise, at least if we're counting the Expanded Universe, which I am. His story is also very similar to Jason Solo, who I mean, we all know that they ripped that off. Frankly, I'm pretty sure they ripped off Darth Revan, at least in appearance too, because the writers for these movies don't actually have any creativity at all. But anyway, the point is, the original novel that had Jason Solo, like, turning on his father and stuff, had actually a whole bunch of books leading up to it, and it was actually a really major twist when it happened. Not just, like, if you'd read those books leading up to it, but also, like, just knowing who he is a big deal, and it's actually really well done in the novel. You should look up that trilogy and plenty of others if you haven't. A lot better than this stuff. But my point is that it's been done better. Everything they try to do has been done better, and they were never going to top it. But what bothers me is they didn't try at all. They start off with Kylo Ren already being, already existing. And, starting off, he's a pretty cool, menacing figure. Obviously, that's ruined later in the movie, but starting off, I can get behind him as the new bad guy. Yeah, so villains have reasons for doing what they do. Especially interesting villains that you actually want your fans and audience to actually care about. What is Kylo Ren's reason for joining the First Order? For joining Snoke? Do we still not know that? I mean, we know from The Last Jedi, which... that was terrible, but anyway. We know that Luke Skywalker basically tried to kill him because he was turning evil or something, for some reason. Even though that's not his character at all, it still begs the question of, is that because he was being influenced by Snoke already? Because if so, then who is Snoke? It all comes back to who is Snoke, and yet Snoke doesn't matter. He's not a real character. He doesn't exist anymore. He's gone. And as far as I know, he's not coming back. Not now, at least. But anyway, Kylo Ren, despite looking like a Sith, acting like a Sith, is not a Sith. He's some dark side Force user that works for Snoke. In some kind of new pseudo-Sith thing. I mean, it's not... Sith are a religious-y entity, and as far as I can tell, Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren have nothing to do with religion at all. As far as I know, their whole thing is, we work for Snoke and we'll kill you if he wants you dead. It's really boring. Really boring. I mean, all you did was take the Sith at face value for what most people see them as, and then just slap a new label on them. There's nothing else to them. I like how they call them Knights of Ren. Knights have, honor and stuff. Not that they need that because they're bad guys, but you'd think they would have some kind of, I don't know, code or something, to compare them to the Jedi. It's really weird, because they're so bland. I mean, the Knights of Ren aren't even in the movie, but, they were, behind the scenes, they were built up to be pretty cool. And people definitely wanted to see them. Among other things, like the Republic and stuff. But yeah, there was plenty of ways to have new villains. You could have had the Vong. You could have had the Imperial Remnant. Like a Thrawn-like character. Or even a new faction like the Confederation, which, if you haven't read, was an alliance of worlds like Corellia and stuff after the war that didn't want to be with the current government anymore. And, they would have been a cool bad guy. Would have been kind of a grey kind of area. It just proves to show that the writers actually write Star Wars EU novels are way more talented than the hacks over at Disney. But, yeah. It's never explained where Snoke came from, why he's in his life, whatever. So, Poe is captured and taken aboard this new Star Destroyer, and Star Destroyer is... I mean, not that you notice watching the movie from the beginning, but apparently it's a lot bigger than the original Star Destroyers. But it's still just Star Destroyer. So who cares? But apparently Poe is like amazed at the resources that the First Order have, even though it's pretty obvious they must have like a heap more resources. Otherwise there wouldn't be a need for a resistance. Not that they need a resistance anyway. Where's the Republic military? Whatever. No, there's no reason to ask that question over and over again. I know it's been asked a lot. So, yeah, that's not explained. Although, anyone who's played Battlefront 2 knows that there's DLC which shows something about the creation of the First Order. I have watched it, but I still can't really explain what it is. Like, apparently there were alien factions involved and hired to help build stuff up, and then there's Project Cinder, right, with Palpatine wanting to, like, with his death, he's just like, oh, everybody kill Imperial worlds and stuff, and it's so petty. It's not Palpatine at all. It's not what he does. You know, he's smarter than that. He's smarter than like, the time spent coming up with a plan to avenge your death could be better spent avoiding it, don't you reckon? But, never mind. So, we're introduced to a stormtrooper, who later is named Finn. I really liked his introduction. The whole blood on the helmet thing, I mean, whatever. Doesn't make much sense, but it's cool. It's something new that separates it, makes it more gritty than the original Star Wars movies, and could make it more, you know, character focused than say something like the prequels, which was more about, you know, massive armies fighting each other. Finn starts off as a stormtrooper, I guess you could say, a lot like Kyle Katarn. Except Kyle Katarn was a lot better, but whatever. Finn clearly isn't supposed to be that kind of character. But I never thought that he would be made into cannon fodder. Like, you know Jar Jar Binks sucks, right? Like, you don't need to make another cannon fodder character. Another comic relief character, even. Like, just having him go around and get his butt kicked everywhere, and then he's like, oh, I'm a janitor, I don't matter. But at the same time, I'm everything that you ever needed. But, yeah. Finn rescues Poe because he wants to escape, which is understandable, I guess. If he's broken to some kind of programming, it makes sense that he wants to escape. I like that the TIE fighters colored white separate them from what I assume to be the TIE fighters of the Imperial Remnant. I mean, I'm glad that they're still using TIE fighters. It's a bit odd though, because TIE fighters have always kinda not sucked. Like, they're not bad, but there's better designs. There's clearly a lot better ships out there instead of TIE fighters. TIE fighters were designed to be mass produced, whereas something like the X-Wing is much more built to last, you know? Because the Empire never really cared about its pilots. I mean, they wanted them to win, but they never really cared about if they actually survived or not. So, yeah, Finn fails to mention that there's a rope holding the ship in place, and the ship, for some reason, could take a huge beating, whatever. The two escape to the planet, and Poe disappears for the rest of the movie. Interesting choice, introducing the movie with him, considering you're just going to get rid of him. I was told he was supposed to be killed, which, you know, seems really odd considering that they started the movie with him and had him watch someone else get killed. Just like, it's moments like that that just makes me realize how broken the movie is. So yeah, terrible choice. But keeping him alive definitely was the best choice. I mean, he is the most interesting out of the characters, I feel. We're introduced to we're introduced to Rey, the most boring character in these movies. Is Rey. Absolutely. If Finn had been the Jedi, we could have had a Stormtrooper turned Jedi. If Poe had been the Jedi, we could have had Pilot turned Jedi. Instead we get random girl in the desert turned Jedi. At least we learned Luke was only there because he was hidden from his father. Why is Rey there? Because the parents didn't want her anymore? I mean, great story. Cool story, bro. Cool story. So, yeah. Doesn't really matter. After this, we see the scene where she flies the Millennium Falcon perfectly. To be fair, there's only 2 TIE fighters or something after her, so who cares, right? Like, clearly they weren't trying. No one was really trying. I don't like it when the antagonist is shown to be incompetent. It just makes the heroes feel weaker. And Han Solo shows up with a massive ship, and he's completely, like, by himself, except for Chewbacca, and apparently a bunch of Star Wars coming to kill him. Which the First Order doesn't seem to care about, whatever. Why should I care about it? Why is there only one Star Destroyer? It makes sense if they were there in secret, but they're clearly not trying to keep under the radar. I mean, they're there sending troops in, blowing everything up, taking control of the planet. I mean, no explanation for that. No Republic there to, you know, offer assistance to some people that are being blown up. I mean, okay. I guess that makes sense, but why send one pilot? Why send Poe on his own? Why are they under the radar? Why are they on a stealth operation? Shouldn't they send, like, I don't know, a Mon Calamari Star Cruiser or something? You know, like, I can understand that the Republic doesn't have that big of a military. But you telling me they can't spare one ship? If they can't spare one ship, then what is this? Like, the Phantom Menace all over again? Don't they, like, know what happened the first time? The Clone Wars and stuff? Like, don't they pay attention? I don't know, maybe they don't. I mean, we all know what the real reason is. It's that the writers didn't care, but as a Star Wars fan, you try to make sense of this stuff. You try to make excuses for this and that. But it gets to a point, you know, at least with, like, the expanded universe, you can say, oh, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, but when your core timeline and universe that makes up what you're trying to make into a neat package doesn't line up, it's like, go back to the drawing board, just do that. Well, of course that didn't happen, so whatever. So Han Solo is a smuggler. Apparently he's not helping the Resistance for some reason, even though his wife and son are involved in it. whatever, I could talk about how that's stupid, but we already know that. So they fly through a copy of Yavin, one of two copies of Yavin, actually. Small alien lady, no one cares about her. Who cares? The First Order attacks because I guess they followed them, but you know, I mean, what am I gonna say? Like, yeah, no reason not to. Leia shows up at the Resistance, and they're already leaving because they captured Rey. I guess. I mean, it's pretty convenient. First Order probably would have wiped out the Resistance transports that apparently flew all this way by themselves. I mean, it's not like the Resistance has any bigger ships or anything. They've got a bunch of fighters and some transports. That's all they've got, as far as I know. So yeah, Leia and everyone would have just been blown up by the Star Destroyer. So, whatever. Then the Resistance wouldn't exist anymore, let's be honest. Finn doesn't mention the Starkiller base at all, and for some reason, even in the Star Trek movies, JJ just doesn't understand that planets are far away from each other. Like, he's never understood that. And you think he would, being a fan of science fiction. You'd think he'd know something about planets, but I don't know. Whatever. Either he thinks the audience is stupid, or he himself is just brain dead. I don't know. But that's just something I noticed after watching the Star Trek movies and his Star Wars movies. Like, clearly, there's, you know, similarities to them. So yeah, Rey beats Kylo Ren mentally at first while she's captured. And then she learns Jedi mind tricks and stuff. It's all like, you gotta ask yourself, like, what were they thinking when they made her have all these abilities? Like, it's almost like they didn't plan on her having any kind of character growth in the next movie. You know, it's like, oh, she knows everything immediately, whatever. And that's not even getting into, like, feminist stuff and stuff like that. That's just bad character writing. So, they get off of Tatooine. The Resistance was really close to the Republic, apparently. And our heroes were almost at the Republic too. Luckily they didn't go there because they would have been blown up. It really doesn't make any sense why they couldn't just contact the Republic and be like, hey, send a ship or something. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but whatever. So, all the Rebellion's leaders are now the leaders of the Resistance, like Akbar and Leia. So I can only assume that they were kicked out of the Republic, or the Republic just wasn't doing it for them. Kinda seems really, really dumb. Not gonna lie. It's like, what, does the Republic just suck that much? Why we spend all this time fighting for a Republic only for it to be that bad again, you know? It's like JJ thought that this was like the original Republic from the prequels, which it isn't meant to be. It's supposed to be better because it's new and it's more like the old Republic from the old Republic series, you know. They're still supposed to be somewhat competent good guys, you know. Even if not good guys, they should at least be looking out for their own interests. So I even get to the fact that after these planets are destroyed, there's still no Republic. Like, it's just like, oh, the Republic is dead now. There's Those 5 planets were the Republic, apparently. It's like, okay, it's not much of a republic. So Han Solo dies. Rey beats Kylo Ren. Poe blows everything up, and they all go home, leaving the audience with nothing but questions as to what the hell they just watched. No world building, no answers, and no sense. I'd bring up Luke Skywalker, but who are we trying to fool? He wasn't important to this movie. He isn't even important in the next one. There was a reveal of Snoke, but whatever your Snoke theory is, it's wrong, because the writers never cared about who he was. And now Palpatine's back, so clearly there's no care.